Our passage today builds on from last week's theme of reassurance that those who have passed on while waiting for Jesus to return have been raised with Jesus and are being loved. Today's reading encourages those who are waiting for the coming of Jesus to be ready and prepared, to expect his coming at any moment, and to live lives of faith, love, and hope every day, and not to give up. Paul uses lovely imagery of living as people of the light in the bright sunshine of day, of being awake and alert and ready, and encourages people to not be people of the night with their lack of sleep and drunkenness and questionable behavior. These are images that we can identify with as they are literally and figuratively daily occurrences. Although personally, I think night gets a bad rap too often. When we get to 5 p.m. at the moment and it is dark and I'm indoors with the heating on and the world feels calmer and still, I really love it. It is a winter joy for me to snuggle in and embrace the change of season. But I get his point. His emphasis he's trying to say is living lives with choice and the gift of choosing. Doing what is right and what is wrong is a daily choice that we should be aware of, as it is not the destination we should be focused on, but rather the journey of each day and the way that we live it. So what does it mean to be children of the light? I'd like to answer that question with reading a true life story by Nelson Mandela. He said, "After I became president, I asked one day some members of my close protection to stroll with me in the city, to have lunch at one of the restaurants. We sat in one of the downtown restaurants and all of us asked for some sort of food. After a while, the waiter brought us our requests. I noticed that there was someone sitting in front of my table waiting for food. I told then one of the soldiers, 'Go and ask that person to join us with his food and to eat with us.' The soldier went and asked the man, so the man brought up his food and sat by my side as I asked and began to eat. His hands were trembling constantly until everyone had finished their food and the man went. The soldier said to me, 'The man was apparently quite sick. His hands trembled as he ate.' 'No, not at all,' said Nelson. 'This man was the guard of the prison where I was jailed. Often after the torture I was subjected to, I used to scream and ask for a little water. The very same man used to come every time and urinate on my head instead. So I found him scared, trembling, expecting me to reciprocate now, at least in some way, either by torturing him or imprisoning him, as I am now the president of the state of South Africa. But this is not my character, nor part of my ethics. The mentality of retaliation destroys states, while the mentality of tolerance builds nations. A true story of a man who lived in the light, having experienced so much suffering and pain, and yet he refused to allow it to change him into something that he was not. These last few weeks have been so stressful on a global scale with the American elections. To think that in the world that we live in, another country's elections don't impact us is naive. We held our breath along with our fellow brothers and sisters in the US. It felt like we were living their dreams and nightmares with them. Now, whichever outcome you hoped for, one thing can be sure. How people behave sheds light on what kind of people they are. Do they build up or do they tear down? Do they include or do they exclude? Do they treat people with dignity or is respect lacking? Or in the words of Nelson Mandela, a world statesperson, the mentality of retaliation destroys states, while the mentality of tolerance builds nations. What I like in this passage as well is that Paul says that Jesus chooses to die. In order to love all humanity, no one was unimportant to him. Verse 10, he died for us that whether we are awake or asleep, we may live together with him. Therefore, encourage one another and build each other up. So even when we behave badly and do not live as our better selves, Jesus never gives up on us, but encourages us to build each other up and to wake up and to walk in the light. By encouraging one another and supporting each other, we become more and more like the people that we were meant to be. This week, we are launching Footstep Friends, where we are encouraging you to invite someone for a walk. The government is happy for us to walk outdoors with a friend. We are therefore inviting you to phone up someone from the church or the community and to invite them for a bit of exercise and companionship, a way to keep our mental health strong and support each other. We are also announcing our Christmas charity today at the church meeting. We'll be supporting this year a local charity called Bromley Brighter Beginnings, which is a charity run by volunteers. They distribute essential items such as prams and clothing, high chairs, nappies and toiletries to families in need. Many of the items donated are from local parents. The families in need are often fleeing domestic violence and are referred to the charity by professionals in the area. Christmas is a particularly challenging time for the families. They're normally living in very stressful financial situations. So each December they run a campaign to provide hampers for families that include essentials like supermarket vouchers, new pajamas, toiletries, books and gifts, to help give these families a brighter Christmas. And we also will continue this year with our buying of toys for the children at Alternatives for our toy service. These are just some of the ways that we can support each other, encourage each other, and pull together as a community, helping one another. Amen.